Hi, my name is Tina and welcome to Knitting Blooms. Today is June 5th and welcome. If you are a first-time watcher, thank you for stopping by and checking out the podcast, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. And just as I'm getting started, the cats decide that they're going to scratch and play, and so hopefully they will settle down a bit. This week has been a little crazy for me for a couple of reasons. First of all, my addiction of Sims 3, the new expansion pack, came out this week, so I've spent a lot of time playing that game this week. So when I'm playing, I can't really do a lot of knitting, so that was a big time suck for me this week. I didn't get as much knitting done as I wanted, but at the same time, I was kind of in a knitting funk. I don't know, there's just some times that as time goes by, you know, if I'm working on a lot of projects, or maybe if I've done a lot of knitting, which I have in the last few weeks, I've done a lot of knitting, I just get to a point where nothing is inspiring me. So that's kind of where I was the last couple of days. Pretty much Thursday I didn't, Wednesday is when I got the software, the game, and I didn't do a lot of knitting Wednesday, and then Thursday I did no knitting at all. I played the game all day long with every spare minute that I had, and Friday I did get back into my knitting a little bit during virtual knit night, and then yesterday again I was kind of in a funk, I think because of the process of some of my projects, which I'll get to in a minute. Some things kind of got put in timeout for a minute, but we'll get to those in a few minutes. But so yesterday I was kind of in a little bit of a knitting funk. I just didn't feel like knitting. I didn't feel like doing anything, and so yeah, it happens, I guess, you know. So I don't have as much to show you progress on some of the projects this week, but I do have a couple of finished objects, and we'll just go through those, and then I've got a couple of things to talk about at the end. I do want to thank Diane K for her donation to the podcast. If you don't watch the podcast on the blog, I do have a donate button there, and I have it there specifically for helping me to cover the cost of doing the podcast. There is a monthly fee for hosting it on Blip TV. If I'm going to be doing prizes, which I plan to do every single month, there's going to be cost for postage, because I don't want to make the people that win the prize pay for the postage. So there is some cost involved in that. So I really appreciate your donation. Thank you. And anybody else who wants to donate, they can go to the blog and make a donation from there. So let's get right into my finished objects of the week. As you can see, I am wearing the mystery medallion shawl that I was working on before, and it turned out beautifully. There's the center medallion that goes down the center, and then you've got the sides. You can see the nice little heart detail. I'm pretty sure in this section right here, I'm pretty sure that I made a mistake. It doesn't look like everybody else's, but I'm not taking it back at this point. So it's done, it's blocked. I didn't notice it until I blocked it. I thought I followed the pattern, but it does look kind of wonky. When I was looking at it when it was blocked, I'm like, that doesn't look like much of anything when I was blocking it. And then I saw some other people's blocked finished items, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I screwed something up there, so I'm not really sure. But I really like how it turned out. The bind off is even though I think I went up 2 needle sizes, I think I bound off in a much larger needle size, at least 2, maybe 3 needle sizes, but it's still very tight. There's like no give. I mean, I blocked it to its limit. So I might have tried, next time I might do a little bit different of a bind off. I think I just did a standard bind off on this. There is some stretchy bind offs that I sometimes use for my socks that I might, if I'm doing a top-down shawl in the future, I might use a different type of bind off. Also, I blocked mine out straight on the edge. I saw some other people that took points out at this section, and they pulled this out and made scallops, so there was points there. I don't know if I'll reblock it and try that. I do like the shawls with the points on them. I just don't know how, because of the way the bind off is so tight already, I don't know if that'll make it a little bit more relaxed or what. But for right now, I'm gonna wear it like this, and if I just when I have to wash it, maybe next time I'll block it differently. I'm not sure. I tried to wear it like this, but because it doesn't have a lot of give for that edging, it doesn't really wear well like that. Again, maybe if I block out the points, it will be a little bit different and it will work a little bit better, but it doesn't really wear well like that. But I do like it around my shoulders the way that it is. I do have a couple of shawl pins that I might try, but it does sit very nicely and stay in place. I think I might want to get something that just kind of is like a chain that comes across, maybe that I can link and then have a chain across just to kind of hold it in place. But I do like it the way that it is. I don't think it would be falling off my shoulders. I was kind of wearing it around a little bit this morning, just getting ready to record, and it stayed on my shoulders, not a problem. I wasn't like trying to pull on it and tugging on it or anything like that. So I really like this finished item. The next thing that I finished this week was not quite a cape. And I have pictures to show you, but I'm going to try and show you a little bit here. It turned out absolutely beautifully. And one thing I want to say about this pattern, these are the buttons that was sent to me. This was a knitting for hire. And these buttons were sent to me, and they were on the card like this. And I thought they were all one button, and actually there's 3 different buttons, but I really liked how they were on the card the way that they were, and so I just decided, she didn't really specify how she wanted the buttons done, but I thought they would look really cool like that, all stacked up on top of one another in a nice big bulky button. So I just sewed them on all together. They're all sewn on together, and I really like how that turned out. And I did have to sew them onto the I-cord, because you can see that those little tiny holes, there was no way, and all of the buttons had those little tiny holes. There was no way that was going to get through, the I-cord was going to get through those holes. But it turned out beautifully. It's all ready to go. I am planning on sending that in the mail this week to the person who had me make it for them, and that is done. I do have another knitting for hire project that I'm going to be starting, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes. One thing I do want to say, and I'm really sorry, I'm just going to put this back in the bag because I don't want the cats to get to it, and I'm really sorry about, is the prizes from last week I have not mailed yet. And some people emailed me early in the week, and I should have gotten right on it, and I didn't, and I'm really sorry about that. My plan is today to, once I finish recording and I'm downloading the recording to the computer, I'm going to get all of the prizes ready. I still am waiting on one person, to hear back from one person. I believe it was Crafty Deb, who has not responded to her winnings, but I will get all of the prizes ready to go today so that they can go out in the mail tomorrow, and hopefully most people will have them by the end of the week. I know that one person is out of the country, so that might take a little bit longer, but she'll have them soon. So those are my finished objects of the week. Those were the upside of my week this week. It seems like just about all of my whips were on the downside. Let's see. The sock yarn blanket, again this week, no love. Didn't even pull it out. Didn't even touch the little scraps of balls of yarn or anything. I did work on one of my MLA socks this week, just for a little bit, not too long. I think I was at a memorial service yesterday, and so I did work on it for a little bit. I don't know, I think I did maybe a half an inch to an inch, not too much. So, oh, and I did make a little flub up. I forgot about that. Yesterday, just as I was getting ready to put it down, I noticed that I put a yarn over in the wrong spot, so I have a couple of rows that I've dropped back. I got to go back and pick up those stitches. I was just looking at this thinking, why are those there? But yeah, so just luckily it's at the end of the row and it's just 2 stitches, and I'll just go back and ladder up those, put the yarn over in the correct space. If I can't get it to work out exactly how it's supposed to work out, it's only a couple of rows that I'd have to take back. But so I haven't really worked on that too much this week. Again, this project is one of those projects that I just kind of pick up right now if I need something mindless. I almost picked it up last night, but then I ended up starting something new, so it would have been a good project just to kind of work on in my knitting funk, because I didn't have to really think about it. I really like the yarn, which is the Yarn Chef Minestrone. So it would have been a good thing to pick up yesterday, but I wasn't. Yesterday I was just not, I didn't feel like knitting. Oh, wonderful. The phone rings. Anyway, it's probably my mother, but I'll have to call her back. Oh, nope, it's Steve's mom. And he just went running, so he won't be answering the phone either. We got this new phone system that actually calls out to us and tells us who's calling, you know, if the caller ID has it on there. So, next thing on the needles is the Demeter Charlotte. And last week I mentioned that I was thinking about adding some additional rows to add some additional length and width to the shawl, which I did. I want to say that I added, I don't know, maybe 4 extra sections, 3, I don't know, not that many. I was going to add quite a bit more. I think I went up to 337 stitches when they called for 301. And I was planning on going up to 385. However, I got tired of those long rows just in stockinette. So I said, you know what? I figured out where I could stop at another point and said, this is it. I'm done. I'm going to stop here. Because it's already going to be slightly bigger. I believe that it's going to be this, if you can see where the stitch marker is. Let me just turn this around a little bit. If you can see where the stitch marker is here, it's going to be that much longer, and blocked out it's probably going to be a good 2 to 2.5 inches longer. So I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference, but I just decided I was done with doing those long stockinette rows, and so I decided to stop. And I have started doing the border, and it is a beaded border. And I started doing it yesterday. I strung all my beads and I started doing the beaded border. And I'm going to try and show it to you here, but I'm going to take a picture a little later. So hopefully if you can't see it here, I'll have another picture. And it's going okay. The beads, doing the beads the way that she has you do the border, it's a little fiddly, you know. So I was doing it last night, and that was one of the things that I was trying to get it back into my knitting, and every project I picked up was not working for me. So with the beads, it's a little fiddly. It's really the only second project that I've done with beads, so maybe that's part of it. I'm not sure, but it is a little fiddly for me because she has you do some weird thing with the yarn over to keep the bead on the end, and maybe this is normal because again I haven't done a whole lot of knitting with beads, but I'll try and work on it today, and hopefully it'll feel a little bit more relaxed after I get into the swing of it. You see, I've only done, you know, a few rows on the border, so it's not like I've really put my effort into it to try and really get the hang of it. So that is going to be probably the next finished object, I would say. If I can get back to knitting on that and get into the flow of working with those beads and having to push them down every so often. I did push quite a few of them down further. I still have a lot of yarn. I really could have gone a lot further on this shawl, but again, you know, you get those stockinette rows of 300 and some odd stitches and then purling back, and you know, they did get pretty boring. So, but I don't know what I'll do with the leftover. We'll have to see how much I have left. I might be able to hold it double and use some of that for my sock yarn blanket, which would be a lot of fun too. So we'll see how that goes. But that project is coming right along. I'm kind of glad that it is in the final stages of that with the border. Hopefully, like I said, I'll be able to get into the flow of that. The next project, which is the project that's in timeout, is the Summer Mystery Charlotte. Now, the big clue came out the Thursday before the holiday weekend, and I did a couple of rows on it. I didn't do that much on it. And then Friday night, and then the last clue came out last Thursday, and I thought, oh great, now I've got to hurry up and get this done. And Friday during virtual knit night, I did two and a half, I think it was 2.5 repeats. And it's coming along wonderfully. And the reason that it's in timeout is not because I made a mistake or because the pattern is driving me crazy. It's because I am nearly out of yarn. This is all I have left. And I still have just under 100 stitches. And before I can even start the last clue, I need to be down to 49 stitches. This is like 10 grams of yarn. There's no way. Friday night, before I sat down, I weighed my yarn and I was at, I think 40 some grams. And that was where, when I was way down, I think in, I want to say, no, I must have been into the second repeat. So I must have only done 1.5 repeats Friday night and a little bit Saturday. Because I think I had already done one full repeat of that last chart, which was chart, or clue 3, which was chart 3. So I think I had like I think it was about 40 grams or just under 40 grams. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And I was talking to the ladies on Virtual Knit Night, and they're like, oh yeah, you should have plenty of yarn. Well, yes, I think based on what Wendy Knits was calling for, because I did an additional repeat on my shawl. So instead of doing 241 stitches cast on, I think I did 289. So that added one full repeat, which is an extra, I believe it was 48 stitches. And based on her calculations for yarn, I would have had plenty of yarn. I should have been able to finish the shawl and have approximately 30 yards left. And really 30 yards is not that much, but I'm thinking I should have at least be able to get close to finishing, and I'm not even close. I mean, I still have, I want to say I have 2 more repeats of this chart to get down to 49 stitches, because I'm pretty sure that you decrease 24 stitches, a total of 24 stitches in each chart. So I think I have 2 more repeats, and seriously, I don't think I'm going to get through one with this. So it's kind of in timeout. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. My first thought was to work with, I have another yarn that would match this, although it is a very variegated yarn, and Wendy Knits said she doesn't recommend a very variegated yarn for this. So I don't think that I want to do that, use that as the top portion. But I think what I'm going to do, and I did call Knit Picks Friday night because it is a Knit Picks Stroll Tonal. Friday night, before I went through all of this and finished knitting and did all this knitting, and I was really nervous about whether or not I was going to have enough yarn. I called them just to find out if they possibly had the same dye lot, and they didn't. And I didn't buy this yarn that long ago, but maybe companies nowadays are not making as big of a dye lot range or a run, because maybe they don't know if it's going to sell. They do a smaller run, I'm not sure. Anyway, or maybe this is an extremely popular color. So they don't have the same dye lot. So that totally blew that out of the water. So now my thought is that I will still order another skein of this yarn, which is Stroll Tonal Springtime. Springtime is the colorway. And then I think what I'll do is knit 1 row with this ball, and then 1 row with the other ball, and then 1 row with this ball, 1 row with the other ball, and back and forth and back and forth. So hopefully by the time this ball runs out, I will kind of have worked in that other colorway, because that's kind of a way that you can work in another color that might be a different dye lot to make it not like bam, one color, one dye lot, and then another dye lot, and then it shows this big line. Now, I have done this before, and depending on how different the dye lots are, sometimes you do see a striping effect. So I'm going to kind of be taking my chances on that, but really that's all I can do at this point, because I really don't want to have to rip this out. It's beautiful so far. The pattern is beautiful. I really like how it turned out. That's a lot of work to just rip out and start again with less stitches, and really at this point I don't even know if I would have enough, because maybe I wasn't getting the right gauge, and really for a shawl you don't really have to be concerned too much with the right gauge, but I guess if you're short on yarn you really kind of do. So I don't know, I'm just at this point I'm just gonna order the yarn. I didn't want to have to place any orders, which means that with Knit Picks, if you order, I think it's $50, you can get free shipping, so I'll probably end up ordering some other stuff and get free shipping. But that's kind of why it's in timeout. Right now I am at the last row. I just did the last row of the chart, so I'll be starting the new chart, or not the new chart, but the next repeat with the stripey effect, if that's what happens. And then I'll kind of decide if that's working for me. If it's not, I'll have to rethink the project, you know, at that point. But for right now, it's in timeout. I really hoped that I was going to be able to get this done. I think that's kind of why I was in the knitting funk, because with the Demeter Charlotte and the beads and this Charlotte running out of yarn, it was kind of like, man, that's a real downer. So I think both between those two projects, I was just done. So hopefully, again, I can get a new ball, a new skein of yarn for that, and hopefully it will be close enough to the same dye lot. Because it's a tonal, there's a lot of colors in there, so there's a good chance that it will still be fairly close, and it won't show, but wait and see. The next project, which I have not worked on at all this week, and which will probably be what I work on this week if I don't work on those, because obviously I can't work on the Mystery Charlotte because I have to order the yarn. That'll take at least a week. And if I might work on the Demeter Charlotte, because I'd really like to get that done by next week. And it's only the edging, so it can't take that long. But the next one is the Modified Lady Eleanor. Haven't worked on this at all. It is kind of a mindless knit for me because I've done enough on it that I don't have to look at the pattern. I can just kind of go. I usually have to kind of glance down at the pattern when I get to the end, because the ends you have kind of a triangle versus the squares that are crossed. But once I get that end one done, I can just go across and work it. But I haven't even pulled this out of the bag this week. This is another one of those projects that have been on the needles for an extremely long period of time that I would really like to get off the needles, but I just haven't felt the motivation to work on that one. Plus, with all the different Charlottes and whatnot, I've been really excited about working on those. And I got this one done. The other two are so close to being done, but have issues now. So, the next project, which is the Bacardi knit along that I'm going to be doing, haven't even started that. I was tempted to pull out the yarn yesterday to skein it up and start knitting a swatch. Didn't do that. Instead, I started a new project. And this yarn, and you know what? I pulled it out of the bag and I didn't even look it up. I want to say it's Art Yarns Super Merino. I made a sweater out of this a few years back, and because of the colorways, you've got such a dramatic change from this yellowy greenish color to this bright turquoise, and I was knitting the sweater in the round, so the color pooling was fine at the lower part around my waist area, but once I got enough stitches increased for the chest area, it was more of a stripy effect, and I wasn't really liking how it was looking, and it didn't look right. So I ripped the whole sweater out, and I have, over here, I have it all balled up in a bag. And I've been wanting to do something new with it. And I didn't want to make another sweater for me because I figured it's just not the right colorway. I like the yarn. I liked the way that it knit up. I liked the sweater in general, but I did not like how it striped up. And I even tried to do, doing different balls, all of that thing. And nothing that I did really worked. I was going to do a different size, and then I did restart the sweater, and I think I have a picture of, I got halfway, probably about this much of it done, 4 or 5 inches, and I did something that I never do, which is leave my knitting unattended in the presence of the cats. And Cody has a bad habit of licking yarn. I don't know what it is. He likes to lick the yarn. And I can't leave any knitted garment laying around because he'll lick it. And the sandpaperness of the cat's tongue, it just kind of frays the yarn. And even if it's not feltable, it just frays the yarn. It just really breaks it up. So anyway, at that point I figured that was my final straw that that sweater was not going to happen. So I just ripped it out, and I have the yarn all balled up, and I knew I was going to make something with it, probably a baby sweater. I just didn't know what. Well, I've been wanting to start this. I have made this pattern before. This is the baby surprise jacket. And I've made this pattern before, and I've been wanting to make it again because I've only made it once. Now, I don't really have any babies in my life where I could give a baby sweater, at least not right now, but I figure somebody's bound to have a kid at some point. So anyway, I'm going to make the baby surprise jacket out of this. And I think it would look really cute because, first of all, it's garter stitch, so the colors are going to be a little bit more separated. It's not going to seem like it's going to stripe up as much, at least I hope. And if it does, it's a baby sweater, so it's not like it's going to be a huge problem. So I cast that on yesterday. I didn't get very far. I think I knit 2 rows. And I am using my signature circulars. I mentioned before that I'm not real sure if I like them yet. I mean, I take that back. I do like these needles. However, they seem to have a grippiness on them. Now, I was talking to Autumn Girl, I think it's 84, and she thought, well, maybe they have some kind of coating on them and you have to wear it off. And after she said that, I have been using my signatures on, this is the Demeter Charlotte. And after she said that, I thought, well, maybe it's possible. Because now I use it on this project and they slide extremely well. So maybe there is some kind of a coating that you have to break in the needles. I'm not really sure if that's the case, but I'm going with it. So I've started it on this. This is the first time I've used the size 8s. I think they do have the size 9 out now, but until I'm 100% that I like these needles, I'm not going to buy the size 9 until I decide, because I do have every other size. But anyway, I started this last night, and this will be my mindless knit, really, if I just get in a funk and I don't feel like doing anything, because this really is a mindless knit. And yeah, so new project started last night, not very far on it, but it should be a pretty quick knit. I think in the past, when I've done baby sweaters or child-sized sweaters, I can, if it's an easy project like this one is, all stockinette or all garter stitch, I can usually get it done in a couple days. But because I do have other projects on the needles, I don't know if I'll get it done in a couple days. Plus, with Sims, I'm still kind of excited about the new expansion pack, so we'll see how much knitting time I do this week with the Sims. I'm going to try and limit my Sims time so I can knit. And that's another thing, it seems like there's so many things that I want to do that take time that it's hard to fit them all in. I mean, I work out for an hour almost every single day. And now the Sims game, I like to spend a good amount of time playing that. I like to knit. I like to read. Now, I can read and knit at the same time, but I have to be working on something easy like this. I can actually read and knit and do this, so that'll be a good thing. Oh, and I've been trying to learn Spanish. And when you're learning a new language, you have to devote so much time into it. So trying to work out for an hour every day and work on Spanish for a half hour every day and knit and read and play Sims. And once I start playing Sims, it's all over from there, because I could play Sims for hours on end and never come up for air. My husband wonders how I can play the game, but it is so hilarious, some of the things that they have in the game. And so it's just fun to, it's kind of like my comedy show. I can get all of my laughs in. So, that is the new project on the needles, the baby surprise sweater. Kind of got off there on a tangent. Anyway, I am starting another knitting for hire job, and it is the Featherweight Cardigan. And I have noticed recently that I guess there's still a lot of people doing this sweater. A couple of podcasters have talked about it. I think Mommy Needs Yarn, she has one. I watched an episode yesterday. She mentioned that she has one on the needles that she was thinking about picking up again. So maybe me working on it will inspire her to work on it too. I don't know. Anyway, this is the yarn that was sent for the project. It's Miss Babs hand-dyed yarn and fiber, and I have started the swatch. Haven't got very far. Actually, I started that earlier this week. I don't know what happened that I didn't finish the swatch. I think because I was trying to work on the other projects and get them done. But I have started the swatch on this one, and I'm hoping to get this one completed by the end of June, so I can get this one in the mail to her. And so that's going to be fun. This is the plum colorway, and I've never used this yarn before, so we'll see. It'll be an experiment or experience using that yarn. The other thing that I have been doing this week is spinning. And last week I showed you the fiber that I dyed up in this, the blue. And I think that both in the pictures and here, you don't get the full effect of how beautiful it is, but it is spinning up beautifully. And I am spinning this straight out, meaning I'm pulling off a piece and pre-drafting it and then spinning it. I'm not fractal spinning it or anything like that, because I am planning on Navajo plying this. And let me show you what. So I go from this thickness, and last week I was kind of concerned about the felting effect because I think I left it in boiling water a little bit too long, and it is kind of felted, and I have struggled a little bit with pre-drafting it, but once I get it drafted, it seems to be okay. But so I go from a thickness of this to a thickness of this. I pre-draft it all the way down, and then I just kind of wrap it up in a little ball, you know, so it's kind of contained. And that is one thing. If you want a thin fiber, a thin single, you really have to pre-draft. I mean, some people say you don't, but at least for me, I do. And I am getting a very nice single, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but it is quite thin, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see this either, but that is what I have. I haven't done that much, and the turquoise and the blue and the purple, oh, it just looks, it reminds me of like waves, you know, just of the blue Caribbean water. It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I don't think that you're going to be able to see it from, you know, through a camera, but I am just loving this. I actually, I wasn't planning on sitting down to start spinning this last week, but last week after the podcast, I don't know, I was supposed to be doing 6 other things, and I didn't do them. I sat down and I started spinning this, and that's one thing. After naming Viola last week and sitting down to her to spin, that's one thing where I haven't had a little funk this week, because this is spinning up beautifully. It's nice and thin, and I think it's gonna make a great 3-ply. So I'm enjoying that. I haven't weighed the fiber again, so I don't know how much I've actually spun up so far. It's not that much, a very small portion of it. So that is coming along beautifully. What is this? This is Yarn Hollow, BFL, and Tussle Silk. I don't think I've done anything on this week, because all my spinning, I think, has been on that. But it's still here. It's still sitting pretty on my spindle, and hasn't made any progress, but I know that project's going to take quite a while, because spinning on a spindle at that thin of a single is going to take quite a while. And I still don't know. I have it separated into 3 balls to do a traditional 3-ply single. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do or not. You know, it's kind of wait and see. And speaking of spindles, or not spindles, speaking of spinning thin, and I meant to look up the person who asked me to show this. I mentioned how Beth at the spinning loft showed me this the second week that I had been spinning on a spindle. Beth at the spinning loft showed me a quick technique. In 30 seconds, I walked in the store, I said I wanted to buy some fiber and the spindle, and in 30 seconds she kind of showed me something that changed my whole technique of spinning. And it not only helps with a drop spindle, but it does help with the spinning on the wheel as well. And because I want to spin an extremely thin fiber, it really helps. So I did a quick little video, and I'm hoping to be able to put it in here to show you. I filmed it by myself, so it was hard to put it in front of the camera and then spin the spindle and keep drafting. But it's just a quick, easy technique where if you are spinning your spindle counterclockwise, which I believe is, no, I'm sorry, if you're spinning it clockwise, which I believe is an S twist. Clockwise, no, it's a Z. Clockwise is a Z twist, and I think if you're spinning your spindle clockwise, then all you're going to do is before you're drafting your fiber out, you're going to untwist it counterclockwise at the drafting zone. And also having a very pre-drafted fiber like this, where you're not having too much coming out, also helps quite a bit too. And I do the same thing. This must be still attached, but let me just pull it off. I do the same thing with this too. And I'll try and show you. And again, I have a video here, so hopefully it'll be. But I'm spinning my spindle clockwise, and then I'm untwisting the yarn counterclockwise before I draft it out. Unspinning it counterclockwise before I draft it out. And that, because if you've gotten your oops, I got a little extra in there. If you've gotten a little bit of twist into that drafting zone, then if you try and pull it out from there, if you try and pull it straight out, it just is going to pull every fiber that twist has gotten into is going to pull down. So by untwisting it slightly, whether you're doing it clockwise or counterclockwise, you're just going to untwist the fiber the opposite direction. So just untwisting that fiber the tiniest bit will help draft it out a little thinner. And even if you've, like this little bit here, I don't know if you can see that, but that little bit is a little thicker than this bit. So if I want to draft that out a little bit, I'm just going to untwist it a little bit and then draft it a little bit further and then let it twist back up. Whoop. So anyway, you kind of get the idea, and I'm hoping that that's enough information. I'm not going to do a full drop spindle tutorial because both Lisa from 90% Knitting and Steven from Dramatic Knits have both done drop spindle tutorials recently, and both of them are fantastic. So if you are trying to learn how to do a drop spindle, go over to Dramatic Knits or 90% Knitting and watch their drop spindle tutorial. And then you can use this little technique to untwist the fiber a little bit so that you can get a thinner fiber. And this single is quite quite thin. And another thing, again, I meant to write down the name of the person who asked me about this, but I believe it was in episode 1 or 2, I mentioned an app that I use on my iPod for spinning. And the app is called Spin Toolkit. And I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what I use in that toolkit. And I'm not going to show you because I tried this earlier. I'm not going to show you like here. This is, oh, let me go back in. This is the, I don't know, you can see it. Anyway, I tried to show it real quick because I don't know how long it actually stays on the screen. Anyway, the app is called Spin Toolkit. And there's lots of features. I want to say it's something like $4.99. There might be a free trial version. I'm not sure if there is or not. But I have pictures of the screens because you can't really see them. I don't know. I tried this and I think it was just a complete white blur. So you can't really see them if I show them. So I took pictures of the screens. So hopefully that'll help. So the first thing on here is a twist angle. And everything that I've read states that if you want your fiber to be, if you want the right twist, if you don't want it to be overspun or underspun, the right twist is approximately 45 degrees. So this application has a screen where you would lay your yarn across the screen and then you can kind of measure that twist. And what's cool about this is that you can, if yours doesn't match up with that 45-degree angle, then you can move the twist. You just slide your finger across this section and make the twist a bigger angle or a less angle, and then you can kind of figure out where your twist is. Do you need to put more twist in it? Do you need to put less twist in it? So you can get the exact angle of your twist. And it says S twist and Z twist, but I guess you would maybe just turn it. I don't know if you would turn it a different way for Z, because one goes one way and then the other goes the other way. So I guess you could just turn the iPod. I didn't read the instructions, but because I don't think I usually do the Z twist. I think I do. I don't know. I'm so confused. I'd rather just say counterclockwise and clockwise. But I guess you have to know which way you're spinning in order to figure out if you need to measure Z or S. Anyway, so it measures your twist angle. The next thing that it measures, that you can measure, is your your wraps per inch. And your wraps per inch is going to tell you approximately, I believe it's going to tell you approximately what size your yarn is, if it's a fingering or if it's a lace or what have you. So like for instance, if it's a bulky yarn, you would have 3 to 4 stitches per inch, and you would have less than 8 wraps per inch for a bulky. A fingering weight, you would have 6.5 to 7.5 stitches per inch. Now, that's interesting because what size needle? It doesn't really tell you what size needle that would be on. But according to this, it says 6.65 or 6.5 to 7.5 stitches per inch, and that would be approximately 24 to 30 wraps per inch. And the wraps, when you wrap it around something, how many wraps? So, but this is where you just lay your yarn across, and I think you can kind of see that a little bit, maybe. But I have a picture I can show you. And you just lay your yarn across it, and you figure out, you keep laying it on the different sections until you find the line that if you laid it across the line, all of the white is covered and you just see the red outline. So I've used that a couple of times, and I'm getting quite thin singles. The other thing is they have a twist per inch, because again, like the angle of the twist, there's something about the twist per inch is another way. I don't know. I'm so new to spinning. I don't know how to use all these tools, or why you need to use them. In fact, I have never really measured twist per inch. I think it has something to do with the plying of the yarn. So you can measure your twist per inch. And the thing that I've used the most on this is the calculator. So like, let's say I find out that I'm spinning up a single that was 80 wraps per inch, and I want to find out what the final size of the yarn would be, the plied yarn. Like, okay, so if I'm going to do a 3-ply yarn for some of these ones that I'm doing, I'm going to do a 3-ply, and I'm starting out with an 80 a single. Oh, no, this isn't the one. That one that I clicked on was, what size single do I need to get the final yarn? So if I was going to do a 3-ply and I wanted to get a fingering weight, which would be 24, then it would tell me I need to spin my singles at 41 wraps per inch, 41.5 wraps per inch, to get a final yarn of 24 wraps per inch. But the one that I have been using was the plied whips. So if I have, if I'm spinning a single, if I'm going to ply 3 plies and I'm spinning a single that's 80 wraps per inch, 80 wraps per inch, my final yarn, the 3-ply, will be 46 wraps per inch, which, if you go back to the wraps per inch gauge, what did I say, 43? That would be a laced weight yarn. 42 to 50 wraps per inch is lace weight. So then I would know that I'm getting a lace weight yarn. So that's kind of fun to have that information right at your fingertips. So again, I have not used even a portion of this. There's, I don't know, at least 10 to 15 different calculators that you can use. Project estimator. So, oh, this is kind of interesting. I didn't know that this was here. You can find out approximately how many grams of something that you would need. Oh, I don't know. I have to read the instructions. Anyway, there's a lot of different things. Nitty Knotty calculator, balanced yarn calculator, grist converter. I have no idea what that is, because again, I'm so new to spinning that so many of these terms mean absolutely nothing to me. But there's a lot of different calculators in here that I think that eventually I'll probably use. I don't know. I think for a $4.95 or $4.99 app, it was worth it for me to have that information. So that is the Spin Toolkit that's the app on the iPad or iPod, or I think you can get it on both probably. Okay, let's see what's next. The next thing, I mentioned a few weeks ago about Netopia, and we still have a couple open spots. We did fill a few. Well, we filled one since the last time I mentioned it, but I think we still have, I don't think we have any more spots open for the full week. Maybe one, because I think there's still one spot left open for the second weekend, and I think there's like 3 spots left open for the first weekend. So I can, if somebody contacts me and wants to do the full week, I can move things around and change that into a full week. So we do have a couple of spots left over. So if you're interested in joining us for a week-long or even just a weekend of knitting fun, you can go to the Netopia website and check out the information. If you have questions about the retreat, please contact me on Ravelry or the blog or on the Netopia website. This will be next year will be our 4th year of doing the retreat. The dates are April 12th through 22nd, 2012. We have several options. You can come for the first weekend. You can come for the second weekend. You can come for midweek if that works out better for your schedule. You can come for the entire retreat. And we also will have a few day spots available as well. So once we fill up for the stayovers, if you're from out of town and you want to come up for more than one day, you can always book a hotel in Port Huron and just come in for the day. Sleep off-site and come in for the day for the activities for the day. So that is Netopia, and again, if you have any questions, please feel to give me a shout, and I will answer your questions. The other thing is, last week I asked about podcast length. Now, the only people that responded to that were people that said, I don't care how long it is, you can talk on forever, just do whatever you want. So, at this point, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to have my list for the week and talk about it, and the podcast will be as long as it is. I'm going to try and keep it under an hour, but it just depends. Maybe one week I'll have a lot to talk about. But if you're on the other spectrum where you would rather have a 20-minute podcast or a 30-minute podcast, please let me know, because I'd like to kind of please everybody, because I don't want to turn people away if they would like to have a shorter podcast, and my podcasts are always 45 minutes and that's just way too long for them. They can't watch the whole thing. So if an hour, the camera did that funny thing again. I don't know, maybe if I get to a certain point, a certain number of minutes, I'll have to check that out. That is weird, but luckily it keeps recording, I hope. The next thing, I would like to have some unique music for my podcast. I have thought about using GarageBand and creating some kind of funky little music for the podcast, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So, if you are so inclined if you have a program that does music, or you're a musical person and you would like to submit a sample of some general music that I can use on my podcast, I would love to change up the music, because right now I'm just using a generic little clip of music from GarageBand from the Mac computer, and I think at least one other podcast uses the same clip. So I would kind of like to have something unique, something that nobody else is using. So if you feel so inclined to compose some music for me, I'd love it. Otherwise, I'm going to try and do something myself at some point, but until then, we're just going to stick to the same music that's on there. And I think that is it for this week. I think I talked for a long time. Maybe over an hour. Who knows? I do have a short video that I'm going to play here at the end. The cats are a little crazy about dry cat food. And we used to feed them dry cat food as their regular meal all of the time. And 2 years ago, when Sammy was diagnosed with diabetes, we ended up changing their food, and they are strictly on wet food now. But I still give them dry food as a treat because they really like that. But they are crazy over it. It's like you give them a little bit and they are nuts. So I took a little video last weekend of them because they are just insane. And you can see how wild they are about just getting the dry food. So, but other than that, if you want to stay and watch that short video, if you're a cat lover, you might find it entertaining. But other than that, that's it for this week, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you'll be back next week, and we'll see how the projects come together. I hope maybe by next week I'll have some idea of what I'm going to do about the summer mystery Charlotte. You know, if I'll have the yarn by then, who knows. Anyway, that's all for now. Talk to you later. Bye. This is exactly why I call dry cat food kitty crack. Over there, Crystal. Cody is nearly biting the bowl to get it quick enough. Mickey has wrapped his paws around the dish so as to keep anybody else from taking his. And he's making an awfully big mess at the same time. This is Cody, who is biting the bowl. Oh, Sammy is distracted for a moment. They act like they haven't eaten in a month, but they've had food all day. Now Mickey's gonna see if he can get somebody else out of their dish, because he's emptied his just about. This is one of the main reasons why we got Mickey off of dry food, because as you can see there, he has his paws wrapped around the dish. Cody is still over here biting the bowl. Just plain craziness, I'd say. Oops. Hi, I had to come back for just a quick minute. I'm recording this right on my Mac because as I was playing back the recording of the cat video, there was 3 cats sitting directly next to me or within the room, and as soon as they heard the sound of the dry cat food hitting the bowl, all of them ran upstairs. It was so hilarious. I just had to share that with you. All right, that's it for now. Thanks. Bye.